Hi, Christina here, and today I'm going to take you through the resources that we use for our mini unit on Ontario. Now, our family consists of a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old. That works out to grade 5, grade 3, grade 2, preschooler, and then the baby. We focus on doing this family school style. We are studying Canada for the entire year across many subjects, so this is just our social studies and our geography and art section, which we do rotating through all the provinces and territories. So each unit is set up the same way. We start with the Canada Close-Up series by Scholastic. I'll show you what it looks like inside. So it's a very short book, very straightforward. This is geared for 6 to 9-year-olds. Lots of pictures, lots of information, and we kind of base it off of the way this book is set out. Then we also use this book here. And this is Exploring Canada's Geography by Apple Press, and this is for grades 4 through 6. These are worksheets and extra readings, and so when I show you their binders in a minute, I'll show you how we actually use this and put it all together. Now we also use this book here. This is Canada's Natives Long Ago by Donna Ward. You can kind of see what that looks like. And so for Ontario, we did the Eastern Woodland Farmers Unit. So that's from that book there. Now, we also watched this video here, the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Lowlands. This is from the Our Canada, Its Geographic Regions series. We really like these DVDs. They're only about 18 minutes long, but they're very thorough. They were made in 2016, so they're quite up to date. And so we watched that one for Ontario. And then of course, because there's a lot of overlap when you're studying about Canada and the different subjects, we also have some read-alouds. And we do read-alouds that correspond with whichever province or territory we're studying at the time. So the first read-aloud we did, and we're working our way through the Canadian Flyer series, was this one here, Hurry Freedom. So it's a nice little short read, very easy. There's some pictures in there. All the kids are able to take a turn reading if they want to, or I read it out loud. And this is about the Underground Railroad. So this was a really good book. And then we also read this one. This is Stop That Stagecoach. And again, very similar setup. This was a good story. This is about traveling in Upper Canada and kind of the different modes of transportation around that time. So it was interesting to read this one because you kind of don't think about how long it takes to travel distances, especially in the past, but it's a good way to explain it. And then the other book that we read was this one here. I don't know if you can see. It's quite a large book. It's called Paddle to the Sea by Clancy Halling, I think. Not sure how that's written. But Halling is the last name. And you can see kind of by my hand how big it is here. This is got quite a lot of illustration. There's one chapter on each page. And this is a really interesting book because it is a young boy who puts a wooden canoe with a carved man inside a canoe. Let's see if there's a picture anywhere. And he sets it up at the top of a hill. There's a picture. You can kind of see that. At the end of winter, beginning of spring, as the water's melting, and it follows the water supply through rivers and streams and the Great Lakes and all the way out to the ocean. There's a map at the very end here. You can kind of see kind of where it starts all the way up here and flowing, and it's a story, so it kind of has twists and turns and different people in it and out to the ocean. So it was a really good story. I love the artwork in it. And then there was actually also, there's a video of it too. The video was quite short. I think it was 28 minutes. And it's an older one. It's made by the Film Board of Canada. And it's a slightly different story, but kind of similar. So it was nice to kind of watch this after reading the book. Then on top of that, my children do independent reading. And so for this unit, it's my oldest two who did the reading. Tyler, who is my 8-year-old, read 44 Hours or Strike. That's the book there about working conditions in Ontario. don't know if there was a date on here, during the Great Depression. So 1930s this takes place. He said it was a good book. It was okay. And then my son, who is 10, he read this one, Ghosts of James Bay by John Wilson. And this one, he ends up going back into the past to an important event. The Discovery Ship, yeah, Henry Hudson. So that's the book he read. He said it was good. And then he also read from the Dear Canada series, which if you haven't heard of this book or this series, it is a really great series. Lots of books all across Canada, historical events and such. This one is Not a Nickel to Spare, The Great Depression Diary of Sally Cohen, Toronto, Ontario, 1932. Now it's written in the journal form, but it's actually fiction. It is not an actual journal. But he said that he liked this one too. So there you go. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I will show you their binders and how we kind of make it work family style and for worksheets and different information and such. Then I'm going to go through all the extra books that we get. Because we like to have just lots of extra books on the shelf on the topics we're learning about so the kids can kind of pull them off. I have a whole huge stack of books about Ontario that are for all the way for like the 1-year-old all the way up to the 10-year-old's age. So I'll show you those. And then I'm going to tell you some information about the art as well. We did look at Thompson as the artist, and it was really interesting because he started his career quite a bit later than most. He didn't start until he was in his 30s, and then he died quite young, I think about 5 years later. So we had a very interesting discussion about that, but I'll show you some artwork books of his that we have, and then I will talk to you a bit about the art project that we did as well. So here's an overview of my children's binders. And so this is my preschooler, because she doesn't want to be left out, 2nd grader, 3rd grader, and 5th grader. So what I did was I kind of started, first of all, with my daughter. She always gets a map of what we're studying, just so she starts to be familiarized with what kind of provinces look like. And then there's a coloring page, something that has to do with what we're talking about that day. Sometimes she does her own coloring. That is her Ontario unit there. So then for the other kids, I kind of take sheets and then add extra ones as they're older. So this is what this one looks like. So this is going over kind of geography, reading maps, different regions, industries, native population, urban and rural population. This is resources. So quite a variety, as you can see. And at the end of each unit, they always have a map where they try and write the cities in that they can. There's a quiz that they do. And then there's a note page as well for them at the back. Notes are something that we are focusing on this year, especially with my oldest two. So you'll see they have more notes. So again, pretty similar. But you'll see he has some added sheets in his. So examples, that one there, it's a different one. This one here is different. And then again, the map, the quiz, and the notes. And then my 5th grader here, you can see his. So again, this sheet is different. So I like Apple Press's books because there is such a wide variety of information in it, and it can work for multiple ages. Oh. I can get the page to turn. There we go. So here's a different one. He had to look at where's the best location to build a factory, an assembly plant, and what do you have to look at, and land-wise and such. And then this is reading map and map skills about Toronto. And again, how to read different types of maps. And then he had the same thing at the end here with his notes. So there is a super quick overview of their notebooks for our Ontario unit. All right, so the first book here is called Second Watch by Karen Ottio. So this is a novel. So I had pulled a whole bunch of novels and my children chose which ones they had wanted to read. So these are the other ones. The Sky is Falling by Kit Pearson, very famous author. This is the same author, Karen Atio. This is Sabotage. Let's see what that looks like inside. And there's from the Dear Canada series, Exiles from the War Guest Diary of Charlotte Mary Twiss, Guelph, Ontario, 1940. I'll show you what that looks like. This is Christopher Paul Curtis's Elijah of Buxton. Looks like this inside. Okay. Some more Dear Canada books. Brothers Far From Home, The World War I Diary of Eliza Bates, and this is Uxbridge, Ontario, 1916. These are all pretty similar in style because they're written in journal form. This one is Orphan at My Door, The Home Child Diary of Victoria Cope, Guelph, Ontario, 1897. And this book here, The Backroads of Ontario. This had some really nice pictures, maps, information on different towns and routes. Just some more kind of getting an idea of what Ontario actually looks like. This one here is 100 nature hotspots in Ontario, the best parks, conservation areas, and wild places. And again, some great pictures, some great imagery, so the kids could kind of see what Ontario looks like and how varied it is. This one here is part of the Canadian Geographic Region series, the St. Lawrence Lowlands. This goes along with the video that we watched, and this is a series that we have been using all throughout, and we'll continue to use throughout all the units. You can see what that looks like there. This one here is Mike Grandmason, I think is how you say it, Ontario. And it's images of Ontario. So again, just an idea of kind of what it looks like, the different regions of Ontario. This one is a general book on Ontario. Now this book here, Canadian Sights and Symbols, I forgot to share in the beginning. This is a series we're using all throughout as well. There's a few things in here that I like to add into our lessons essentially. So this is a book we actually use for our lessons. Each one is set up the same way. Now this is a really interesting storybook called Out of the Woods, a true story of an unforgettable event by Rebecca Bond. Very interesting. I won't tell you the whole story, but it has some neat kind of, the artwork's interesting because it's very plain and there's not many colors. It's a really interesting story, so check that book out if you're interested. This one is Great Lakes and Rugged Ground, Imagining Ontario. So you can kind of see what it looks like. Again, the scenery, the different parts, very short writing. So a good book for a younger child. And this one here is Ontario. And again, in order to just kind of show the kids what it looks like, different areas, regions, so they could get a visual on it. Let's pull this other stack here. Native Nations of the Arctic and Subarctic. So some of these you'll see that we've been using multiple times and we'll continue to get an idea of it there. What that book looks like. And this is another one from that same series. This is a Canadian Shield. I'll show you what this one looks like. This was an interesting one. This was A Bloom of Friendship, and this is talking about the tulips that were given to Ottawa. So lots of great historical information on here about what was going on at the time and the relationship and what occurred, and then the tulip festival that they have in Ottawa. This one here, this is a series that I like as well. We've taken quite a few out. Why I Love, and then this is Ontario. This is a board book, and so Very simple for children, but it gives you kind of a good idea. Some different important places and festivals and life in Ontario. Now this one was really interesting to look at. This is Ice Storm, Ontario 2013. The beauty, the devastation, the aftermath. So if you were not familiar with Ontario, they did have quite a large ice storm in 2013, and these are images from it. And it's pretty cool to see some of these. But it also talks about the consequences and what happened because of the ice that encapsulated everything and the damage that was done. Isn't that a cool picture? And kind of the after effects of the weather. So that was a really interesting book. This one is the ABC of Toronto. Again, a child's book. This is not a board one, this is a paper one, but it's got the alphabet in it. Just got to... Alright, so this is the Canadian Aboriginal Art and Culture series. I have a few of their books. So this is the Ojibwa. Open. These are all laid out the same way. And again, we've had some of these books before, and we will continue to for multiple provinces. Same series, the Métis. You can see some of the beadwork there. I'm having trouble opening the books today, so you can kind of see what it looks like. And then we also have the same series, the Iroquois. And there's extra resources in the back, which is nice as well. And another book we got, A is for Algonquin and Ontario alphabet. This is a book, or a series I should say, that we are using again throughout every province and territory. And I really like this book because it offers multiple levels. So, for example, they have the alphabet for younger children. They have a short little piece to read here for the older children, and then more detail here for even older children. So, again, a book in a series we really like. And great artwork in that one too. Okay. So this is Embracing Canada, Landscapes from Craigoff to the Group of Seven. Now Thompson, who we studied, was part of the Group of Seven, and so his artwork is in here. To give you an idea. It doesn't show a whole lot from each artist, but it gives you kind of a good summary and idea. This is Canadian Art, the Thompson collection at the Art Gallery of Ontario. So these are all his artwork and his works. Lots of information, artifacts, some really unique pictures and artwork in there. Here's another one from that same series too, for the Cree. Look at that. And then this book here is Scholastic Canada Biographies. We're actually using this throughout the year as well, and we use this for information on Thompson for our artist. You can kind of see what it looks like in here. We've been using the other books as well. My kids have been reading different biographies as well throughout the year. And then yet another book from this series, the Great Lakes, because there's quite a number of different regions within Ontario. So same setup here. And then finally one more, a first book of Canadian art, and Thompson was included in here too, so as well as a number of other artists. So this is a much shorter explanation in here with just a few pictures, but there you go. So for our art project, what we did this time was First Nation or Métis beading and beadwork. So I kind of talked last time about in our Manitoba unit how it's hard to find art projects that work for both my 4-year-old and my 10-year-old, and sometimes you have to kind of do a trade-off between them. And so this unit was one that my youngest daughter wasn't able to do as much. She helped choose the pattern and colors and put beads on the needle, but I actually did all of the work. My other children, it took them a little longer. So I don't have it to show you right now because they're not finished, but I will insert a picture so you can see the end of what it looks like, the end final product, I guess. All right, so if there's anything I've missed or any questions you have, please leave them down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos, as well as the like, and to share it with anyone who you think might be interested in this information. Hopefully it's helpful to you for us to share kind of how we put this unit together and what we really enjoyed about it. Otherwise, though, I hope that you're having a great day. Take care. So just quickly, I wanted to jump back in because I forgot to tell you that we also made butter tarts. In the Up Close series book that we're using, it talked about butter tarts being kind of from Ontario region, and so we wanted to give them a try. We learned a few things, we overfilled ours, but they were really good and they're really tasty, so I wanted to share a picture with you of what they looked like.